ESTJ Tana Loop, what it means and how to break free. For the extroverted personality types, going into their loop means they turn to their extrovert functions. This isn't immediately a bad or negative thing, and sometimes it occurs under stress as a means of helping the person navigate whatever challenges they are facing. At first, it can cause them to turn towards parts of themselves they normally would not, applying pressure to a function that isn't as natural or strong for them. It can help the individual figure out some things they are struggling with, but if this goes on for too long, it can certainly become unhealthy for them. When they get in this loop for long periods of time, they definitely need a means of breaking free before it applies too much stress to their weaker functions and leaves them feeling emotionally and mentally exhausted. For the ESTJ, their loop causes them to focus on their two extrovert functions, their extrovert thinking, te, and extrovert intuition, na. They will neglect their introverted functions entirely, even though they are normally drawn to their auxiliary function, which is introverted sensing. For the ESTJ, their second function is also very important and helps them to process things and become more capable of seeing information from a grounded perspective. Without utilizing this function, the ESTJ can lose a sense of direction and find themselves going in so many different possible paths at once. This is why the combination of functions is so important, and why the loop can be rather frustrating after a while. ESTJ typically rely on introverted sensing. For the ESTJ, their auxiliary introverted sensing function is truly important and helps them to get a clear idea of what is manageable for them. ESTJs take in facts and information, and like to be rational about their choices. Their introverted sensing compares this information to past scenarios and situations, and this helps them get a better idea of the best path to take. ESTJ care about being efficient and getting things done, and their introverted sensing function actually helps them to do this in the right ways. It helps them to more rationally manage their expectations and see which direction they need to go in. Without this function, they can become caught up on possibilities and find it challenging to see which choices they should make for their future. ESTJs want to be able to think things through before taking a step forward and don't like just rushing into anything unprepared. Their introverted sensing function helps them to do this. By comparing the present with past situations, they can figure out a more structured plan. The Tana loop in ESTJs. When the ESTJ is in their Tana loop, they become a bit more chaotic in their choices, and much less grounded than usual. They can see all of the possibilities around them, and instead of taking time to plan, they simply jump into these new things. They don't really think things through like they ordinarily would. Instead, they take action on every exciting idea without planning accordingly. The ESTJ is still very driven to get things done and is very action-oriented, but they do this without really managing their expectations. They find themselves taking on many new projects, not really knowing where to narrow things down. They might jump into these different tasks without considering the best ones for them and want to seek out outside validation along the way. ESTJs aren't normally focused on seeking approval from others, but during their loop, they can become very interested in how others view them. They want to impress those around them and really need this validation in order to feel confident in themselves and what they are doing. The ESTJ in their loop sees every single possibility and wants to leap into action without considering the logical side of this. Without using their introverted functions, they can no longer see the best way to manage these possibilities, and instead just want to jump into all of them. The ESTJ starts to feel and seem like they are pulled in a million directions, unable to see a clear path or goal. They find themselves chasing all of these possibilities without being capable of using lessons from the past to see which is the right choice for them. This definitely causes the ESFJ to seem unlike themselves, as they are normally structured and focused individuals. They know what they want and which path is right for them, but in their loop they can lose sight of this. How to escape the ESTJ loop? For the ESTJ, their loop can occur under times of extreme stress, or when they feel like their ordinary way of doing things is not working for them. While this can be useful for a short time, after a while, the loop can cause them a lot of internal stress. The best way for the ESTJ to break free from their loop is to focus on the introverted functions they have neglected. They should especially focus on their introverted sensing function, which they use often. The ESTJ must look towards the past and draw themselves towards proven methods. Instead of allowing themselves to be interested in the possibilities around them, they need to find a sense of structure once again. Sometimes reminiscing about the past and trying to recall certain memories can be a way to trigger this once again. The ESTJ needs to allow themselves to take a step back and focus on the things which help them learn and hold on to those past lessons. Their introverted sensing is what helps them to become more grounded in their choices and keeps them focused on the goals which matter most to them. Taking time to consider how they have done things in the past can be an important step towards finding this sense of direction and guidance once again.